Sheldon, I'm wondering if you have a philosophy on the offensive side of the puck. You're a coach who I think who your teams have had great offensive success, and I'll recognize that the Devils' defensive numbers are a lot better too this year. But here in Toronto, the team is beat the drum about being more of a north-south team and are struggling to produce a little bit offensively. Do you coach the offensive side of things much, or is that something you just say you trust your elite guys to create that?
Well, there has to be a certain level of trust there that those guys, you put them in positions to succeed and they're going to be able to make plays. But that said, I definitely believe that I coach the offense a lot. I think that's a huge part of the game, not just because of the offense that leads to goals, but I think when you have a good offense, you automatically become better defensively because you just have the puck a lot and you're able to wear down the opposition and things like that. So that to me is how I look at offense. Is it's not just a way to score goals, but it's a way to control play. So we talk about that quite a bit. And then also just in turn, I think the more we have the puck in favorable positions, that our talent's going to be able to come through. So, it's one of those things as a coach, you want to be as good as you can in each area. I mean, we sat down in the off season and I looked at it and, started talking about, some things, some goals and things that you want to shoot for. For me, we want to be good at everything. You want to be good at keeping the puck out of your net. You want to be good at putting it in the other team's net. You want to be good on special teams and in goal. And you want, you want to be good on the physical side of things. And that's what I feel good about with where we're at as a team. I think we sit top 10 in goals for, top 10 in goals against, top 10 in special teams. And even on the physical side, it hits, fighting majors, like all these things. Our players have really embraced what we're asking them to do and have been good in each area. So I think that's really what you're shooting for. And then you want to hope that it's all able to thrive when it counts the most in the playoffs. And of course, that's where we've fallen short. And that's why I'm talking to you remotely from New Jersey.
You're watching and listening to Sheldon Keefe, head coach of the New Jersey Devils. So tomorrow night you face a Leaf team that's looking for answers in their bottom six. And overall, how do you feel like your bottom six has performed so far?
I would say, we're in a similar boat. We've had some injuries here with Curtis Lazar and Nate Bastian, two guys that have just had terrific starts to the season for us in terms of just being guys who play hard and simple hockey and can take on some defensive responsibilities and kill penalties and forecheck and do a lot of little things that can kind of set the table for our other lines. We really miss those guys, and we felt that a little bit. But that said, I think we've gotten good performances and big goals at key times from different people. Paul Cotter, for the most part, played on our lower lines and has scored some big goals and made big plays for us. Haller and Mercer, these guys have been really good too at different times. And I think right now we're searching for it a little bit in that bottom mix and are changing things up a little to try to spark some things and get a little bit more balanced approach. But I think that's sort of the reality of the league. There's not many teams that are really rolling, four high octane lines. It's you're just trying to manage the game as best you can, get key goals from lowering your lines, and hope that your talent can come through more often than not.
Sheldon, last one from me. Thanks for joining us today. I just when you got there, you obviously knew quite a bit about your roster. Obviously, you've been playing these guys, but was there anyone when you got there you're like, oh, I didn't know that this player, had a certain ability?
I would say, Jesper Bratt, I think is probably the guy that I've been most impressed with, and I don't want to say surprised because when you coach against him, you can see his talent, but it really is exceptional. I mean, and this, of course, some of the obvious guys that we have, I think, but Jesper Bratt is having a great season and has had a number of other good seasons, but his skill level and his speed, his edge work, his ability to escape pressure is truly elite. He's been a good penalty killer for us. And then it's just an impressive guy in terms of how he manages his life and his body and being prepared and consistent every day with his habits. He's a really good example for any player in terms of how he manages himself. I've been really impressed with him in all facets of his game and life.
Few bucks on the board tomorrow night, Sheldon?
You know what? I put more than a few up the first time we played, so this time they're not getting it. They're not getting it.
They missed their chance, eh?
Well, we appreciate your time, man, and thanks for doing this for us.
My pleasure. Be well,
Thanks
guys.
a lot. Appreciate it.
He's got a fast team, man. He's had that team's been fast for a while, but they can scoot.
Jesper Bratt, 37 points in 30 games, actually leading the Devils this year. 5'10", 26 years old, just hums out there.
It's funny, hearing Sheldon talk, and I'm not sure if he's still there, and I probably left immediately, but much like some people probably feel with us, that you listen to somebody every single day for 5 years, that you feel this really big sense of familiarity.
Yeah.
And I don't know him at all, but I feel like I know everything about him.
Yeah.
I listen to him. I know that guy so well, and he doesn't know who I am.
So it's like having an ex come on the show.
Really
or something.
is. It really had that feel. All of us are kind of what do we say? What do we say?
In itself, let's give the guy credit for even coming on
Absolutely.
our show. If I had to listen to ourselves every day for 3 years, I would have said,
no chance.
Pass. I'm still sick of you guys. Give me a year to not be sick of you guys, and then I'll come on the show. And I'd go, I get it, Sheldon. I get it. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe a year and a half.
I mean, his team having almost 40 points and
Doesn't hurt.
probably makes it a little easier to come back on with the.
I'd say so.
But do you get that? You do know him, so you've worked with
Yeah.
him closely. You know him well. I don't know how Kipper does. I just felt like he came on. I was like,
I worked with him during some rough years. I worked for him when I had to learn IT to become the video coach on the spot mid-season, while also being 18 months prior to my first rehab visit. I was not at my finest version of myself when I worked with
A
him.
challenge.
and he still came on.
Yeah, he's a heck of a guy. I appreciate the patience he had.
Not just Sheldon, though, but anybody that has gone through a significant experience like Sheldon has had, it can't help but make you a better coach if you were paying attention to the things that went well and the things probably like a redo on.
Mm-hmm. It is funny, the team there is built not too dissimilarly from the Leafs in that your best players are pure skill, not heavy, Bratt and Hughes guys. And then you kind of have, it's very similar build. Dougie Hamilton is probably the biggest difference. You have a pure top end power play 1D man, which I don't think he ever had here.
And
now, by the way, they're first in the NHL in power play.
he's starting to warm up. He came off a very significant injury.
Yeah. 21 points in 30 games for him, 5 snipes.
Yeah.
Another guy that in years past you would have said was a lock for Team Canada on the back end.
Yeah.
And it just injuries and everything else. But they actually, everybody talks about Barkov, including Kipper Barkov being the most underrated guy in the league, but he wins Selkies and he's the cup winner and everybody talks about how great he is. They actually have two of the guys that are the most underrated. Bratt and Heischer, to me, are two of the most underrated guys in the league. Heischer is one of the best two-way centers in the league, almost 30 points in 30 games this year, 15 goals. I really like watching him play. Yeah. And he was first overall, right? And second was Nolan Patrick, right?
A good decision.
I'd say.
That worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one I find interesting here, and we all agree he's going to be really good, but how good is the brother, Luke?
Yeah. Really, really good.
Right?
They're all
how
very
quickly,
good.
though, how quickly he gets really, really good might be how quickly the New Jersey Devils go to next level. They could win a Stanley Cup.
They have some exceptional defensive defensemen like Brett Pesce, Jonas Siegenthaler, and Jonathan Kovacevic are all really, really good defenders. Dylan's a big hitter. Hamilton can shoot it in. And then if Hughes becomes a top-end guy, I've heard people say, the Devils are pretty small up front. That's a big decor.
Was Kovacevic, he was a Hab, right?
He was, and he's very good.
And they just let
the
him.
top pairs for defensive stuff, he's involved
They
in
just
all
let
of
him.
it. I guess they kept all the...
Anyways, I've been saying this since the summer and since Sheldon got hired there, but I got to tell you, Leafs Devils playoff matchup at some point feels really inevitable to me.
Does it? Yeah.
I don't know how it would stack up. I guess if they win that division, it would be a conference final. Leafs are a wild card. They're the best team. I don't know what the thing is, but the way things go in this city, I really do feel a
That would
matchup
be
between those two.
really fun.
Sheldon Keefe's big breakthrough comes against the Leafs at your expense.
Does that sound impossible?
No.
No,
it does
does that
not.
sound extremely possible? Because I said that day one when he got hired there. It just feels like that would be feels like it'd be a good playoff series too. But go back to my youth, Devils and Leafs.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Palat, Meyer, they got a good hockey club.
Yeah. Palat, I'm curious how that's going. His numbers aren't sterling or anything, but they
it's just-
do. That Paul Cotter's
There's
having a great
something to be
year.
said about a guy like that with
The Toronto Maple Leafs may be taking a new approach to salary management, which could directly impact Mitch Marner's contract negotiations. During Kyle Dubas' tenure as general manager, the team didn't hesitate to spend heavily, and this trend began with a 6-year extension signed by Marner in 2019. At the time, Marner's $10.9 million annual cap hit set the market for superstar wingers, surpassing comparable players like Mikko Rantanen of the Colorado Avalanche, who signed a 6-year deal with a $9.25 million annual cap hit. Now, however, times seem to be changing. TSN's Pierre LeBrun recently reported that the Maple Leafs have implemented an internal salary cap, aiming to ensure no player earns more than captain Austin Matthews, who signed a 4-year extension worth $13.25 million per season in August 2023. The team's primary concern revolves around Marner's agent, Darren Ferris, who, according to LeBrun, might push for a percentage of the total salary cap instead of a fixed dollar amount. This could result in Marner's cap hit exceeding Matthews' $13.25 million, conflicting with the Leafs' new financial strategy. Ferris is known for driving negotiations to the limit, often taking his clients to free agency. This raises fears that discussions between Marner and the Leafs could drag on until July 1st, giving Marner and his camp all the leverage in negotiations. Another complicating factor is the rising market. LeBrun noted that Mikko Rantanen believes he could secure $14 million per season as a free agent. This sparks the question, could Marner demand even more? And would Ferris take that gamble, knowing the Leafs might opt to move on and sign another player? Marner has made it clear on multiple occasions that Toronto is where he wants to be. As a local player with deep ties to the city, he's expressed his desire to spend his entire career wearing the blue and white of the Leafs. However, staying with the team may require him to accept less than market value, especially if the front office remains committed to its new salary structure. Such a sacrifice could be vital for the team's collective success and to avoid financial issues that have plagued the recent past. While negotiations are still in the early stages, it's evident that Marner's future with the Leafs is at stake. Maple Leafs fans may need to prepare for the possibility of significant changes, but they can also trust in the player's commitment to the city and the franchise to find a compromise. The Maple Leafs' decision to implement an internal salary cap reflects a broader shift in their team-building philosophy. After years of prioritizing top-end talent with hefty contracts, the organization appears determined to strike a balance between superstar contracts and depth throughout the roster. This strategy aims to avoid the pitfalls of past seasons, where a lack of financial flexibility often left the team vulnerable in critical playoff moments. For Mitch Marner, this shift creates a unique challenge. On one hand, his value to the Leafs is undeniable. A consistent top scorer and elite playmaker, Marner has been instrumental in driving the team's offense. On the other hand, his ability to command a salary that rivals or exceeds Austin Matthews could put the Leafs in a difficult position, especially with a potential need to strengthen other areas of the roster. As the 2023-24 season progresses, the Leafs must weigh the potential consequences of sticking to their cap philosophy. Losing a homegrown talent like Marner would undoubtedly sting for fans and the organization alike. However, allowing one player to dictate financial terms beyond the team's structure could hinder long-term success and force painful sacrifices elsewhere. Adding to the complexity is the looming free agency of William Nylander. If the Leafs are to stick to their internal salary cap, they may also face challenges in retaining Nylander, who could command a significant raise. Balancing contracts for both Marner and Nylander within the new framework could prove to be the ultimate test for Toronto's management team. Another factor at play is the team's ultimate goal, winning the Stanley Cup. While star players like Marner and Matthews are crucial, history has shown that depth and balanced rosters often prevail in the postseason. If the Leafs fail to manage their finances effectively, they risk falling short of building a championship-caliber team, even with elite talent. For Marner, the decision to stay with the Leafs might come down to more than just dollars. His connection to the city, the fans, and his teammates could be deciding factors. If he prioritizes legacy and loyalty over maximizing earnings, there's a strong possibility that he'll work with the team to find a deal that benefits both parties. Negotiations will also test Darren Ferris, known for his hardline tactics in securing lucrative deals for his clients. While pushing for top dollar is expected, Ferris may need to weigh the risks of alienating the Leafs management and fanbase. A prolonged stalemate could damage Marner's relationship with the team and its supporters. The Leafs management, led by general manager Brad Treliving, faces a pivotal moment. Treliving's reputation as a negotiator and team builder will be on full display as he navigates this high-stakes scenario. Striking the right balance could solidify his tenure in Toronto, while a misstep might set the team back for years. For Maple Leafs fans, the coming months will be filled with anticipation and uncertainty.